Hello and welcome everyone to this month episode of This Month of Master Duel, and we are your hosts, of course, Ibris as always with you, and I am not Ed, but I'm filling in for him today, and I'm Lampy, of course, as you know, and there's plenty of great stuff to talk about for this episode, isn't it?
Indeed, and while you are not Ed, you're almost as charismatic while being slightly better at dueling,
Oh.
so
I'll take that. I will definitely take that. But yeah, very exciting episode, of course. You, fresh from Seattle, right? Fresh from the WCS. How was it?
Yeah, fantastic. Honestly, really happy to see just that top level of Master Duel competition again. Some really great duels actually taking place with some really great competitors. How did you feel about the whole thing?
I mean, it was just so fun watching it overall, and that whole storyline of then Team 7 and Snipe Hunters meeting again in the finals. It was a blast to watch, and I just had the best time ever, and I'm sure a lot of people at home were feeling the same for sure. It was absolutely cool. So, we, of course, have another show on our hand. We have a good schedule, a good couple of points to talk about. First of all, we're going to do the 60 seconds challenge as always, where you are going to explain to the people a couple of things that happened over the last month, right? And then we're going to play the Guess the Percentage game as well, where I think this time we're going to turn it around a little bit.
Yep.
And then, yeah, go ahead.
You know, considering you're like the guest host, you are running this, and I'm living for it, honestly. Like, yeah, well done. Really excited to work with you on this. Just going to throw that one out there. Miss you, Ed, but I'm sure you have a worthy successor for this episode. And on the topic of this episode, yeah, just following on from the Guess the Percentage, we'll have Selection Pack, where we'll be joined by a special guest.
Ooh, yeah.
WCS recap and some analysis of some gameplay. Again, with that special guest, plus another special guest on top of that. And a few more packs to break down that are upcoming.
More
in
packs?
addition to that selection pack we mentioned before. Yeah.
Okay. That's interesting. That's very exciting, actually. So I would say let's start this off, and we're going to start things off as per usual with you being the one doing the 60 seconds challenge. So I will give you a timer of exactly 60 seconds. And I've seen Ed actually giving you a little bit of rope on that one, but I'm going to be strict. It's 60 seconds, okay?
I'd say he's pretty strict with me, but yeah, okay, let's go.
All right, so the timer starts in 3, 2, 1. There you go.
Okay, here we go. My brain is full of WCS decks, but actually, speaking of WCS, that is what was probably the most exciting thing at the forefront of everybody's mind over the past month. You know, we had the announcement of the participants. We had the Cheer for Your Champion campaign in game as well. And a lot of exciting duels did take place with a lot of exciting decks. In addition to that, we very recently had the announcement of a new Forbidden Limited list that will be implemented soon. We had the 70 million downloads campaign take place from August 8th, I believe. With it, the Stardust Dragon tuning Junk Warrior alternate artworks in Evoke Dragon Miracles. We had the El Shaddai Winder and El Shaddai Construct alternate artworks in Enchanted Threads of Shade. And of course, Wings of the Guardian did bring us the Voiceless Voice deck that we'll talk about a little bit more in a little bit.
2, 1. Anything else? I will give you one last sentence.
No, I'm good. I had a few things, but, you know, just thinking about
Time's over.
I think we're good. Yeah.
I mean, we can go a little bit into more detail about a couple of things, right?
Yeah, let's
actually hop first of all into the August packs, because those were, of course, last month. So let's break down what came in there. You were mentioning that we got the voice cards, for example, which actually were also having quite the impact on the World Championship. Multiple players actually were playing that deck. So what would you overall say? It's not only the voice cards, but also the Centurion cards, right? Some support additionally. I mean, they were already in the game, but then a couple of extra cards there. I think the pack bit, for example.
I think, the Enigmaster pack bit being a highlight for us, because we mentioned before just how good that was sending off of Dogmatica Punishment.
Yeah.
That's foreshadowing for something a little bit later on, by the way.
Okay.
We'll see. In addition to that, the Ice Barrier stuff getting added as well meant that we saw a little bit more of that deck just as a pocket pick and viable option there. Again, we mentioned 70 million downloads did bring with it the updated secret packs, the Evoke Dragon and Miracles. Stardust Dragon looks beautiful, as always.
The regular
artwork is great, the old artwork is great.
Yesterday. I just saved it. Both bundles in my pocket. I have everything set up at home.
Excellent. And the Enchanted Threads of Shade as well, getting the Shadow alternate artworks as well. I remember when Master Duel launched, we had El Shadow Construct being one of the kind of faces for the game. So seeing it back is really nostalgic for me. And, you know, 70 million downloads later, loving it still.
Absolutely still loving
Speaking
it.
of things I'm loving, the FNL list that we got announced. Yeah.
Just recently, it's going to be in effect tomorrow, actually, and therefore also, for example, for the Challenger Cup season finals this weekend or the Duelist Cup later this month.
Thank you for the placement there. Really appreciate it. Dude, professional.
Exactly, and it's pretty dragon themed, I want to say.
Yeah,
right?
honestly, Dragon Link was the deck to beat last WCS.
True.
More on this year's WCS throughout the show, but last year, of course, having Dragon Link just be kind of run by the Chaos Ruler, the Chaotic Magical Dragon, of course, still not going to be seeing that one come back.
That one's not coming back. But
however, we did get White Dragon Wyver Burster coming back to make that and Black Dragon Collapse Serpent have an interaction where, you know, you can get that recurring loop where they search for each other. Pretty much always have access to an additional dragon in your hand.
Totally.
And speaking of having access to an additional thing in your hand, Bestial Druis Worm at 3 helps Dragon Link, it helps Centurion, it helps Branded. All of these decks that love Bestials as an extension tool will benefit from Druis Worm now being available more.
To me personally, this one feels like the most impressive change on the list, the one that is going to do the most, because not only those decks, but pretty much any deck in general can use those Bestials, because they are very, very good against two very popular decks at the moment. First of all, of course, Jubel, totally only dark reliable, therefore a Bestial on maybe a Yama in the graveyard is
also
super,
very
super good.
graveyard reliant, so being able to remove that is so good.
And then of course also Telements was very, very prominent over the last couple of weeks as well. Very, very good against that as well. So I think we're going to definitely see a lot of Bestial Druis Worms in the upcoming format for sure.
Additionally, we saw Saria Skull Dread come back to 3. Maybe not something we've seen too much of, because I think in terms of the top end of Link monsters, you had Appaloosa, Bow the Goddess, kind of take the place of that. However, when it comes to being, again, just an extension tool, this one is one of the most iconic.
Absolutely, yeah. So that list definitely going to be interesting to see how much of an impact it's going to have. But now, of course, the big elephant in the room, the event you just came from, the WCS has just happened, so we have to talk about that a little bit more. So what was your standalone, standout moment from that tournament happening this weekend?
Really hard to narrow it down to just one, but so many good duels. Of course, I think Quantal's duel against Maguro did make waves across the world.
Yes.
Unfortunately, Quantal, despite being a great representative of Snipe Hunters and a great representative on this stream, again, a little bit more foreshadowing for later. He's a regular guest here, but he will make another appearance later on.
He will be here.
He did lose to Maguro, who made such a good comeback with Fire King Snake Eye off just one card that it really sent waves throughout the community.
Absolutely.
Additionally, we saw Telements really perform again. I mean, you have Jesse Cotton in the finals. Of course, you'll see Telements.
Totally.
Ubel, Labyrinth. I think Super Heavy Samurai we highlighted as a deck to be out of nowhere.
Yeah, surprisingly enough, I got some statistics on the event, and I saw that Super Heavy Samurai, out of all the decks entered into the tournament, actually came out as the deck with the highest win rate overall from all the decks. I think they only had to play like 7 or 8 games.
Yeah, the sample size is a little bit smaller than
but still
some others, but very impressive.
That's pretty big, honestly.
Yeah, additionally, we did see it splashed together with the Centurion cards by CER's Knackable as well, which was really, really cool to see. Yeah, and actually on the topic of decks that we saw at WCS, you can actually borrow the winning Team 7's decks in the tryout duel that will be starting soon.
I saw that. That's really, really cool. Is it going to be all the decks, first and second deck?
I believe so, yes. So you'll be able to play Jesse's Telements and Salamangre. You'll be able to play Ryan's, was it Snake Eye Fire King and Vanquish Soul?
Yes.
And you'll be able to play Ray's Ubel and Pearly.
Yeah. Interesting enough, Ray actually played his Pearly deck thrice, and he won every single one of them. Maybe he should have played more Pearly. I mean, they came out on top, so why would you say that he had to change anything in his strategics? Because he was definitely the one performing very well. Overall, of course, the big team that now got the revenge, the beautiful story of the weekend. Team 7, after losing in last year's final, now, of course, being the one coming back, getting the same opponent in the finals, but this time being able to defeat them. Honestly, quite impressively too, though. Like, that was a pretty impressive 8-1 victory in the finals.
Yeah, very, very dominant victory, especially following on from how hotly contested A, that group stage was, and B, even the semi-finals earlier in the day were so close, going to 5 and 4 in both of the series that we saw. Snipe Hunters taking on Heroes Future, and Team 7 also really having a rough time against CER, but ultimately coming out on top. Now, to hear more from Team 7 about that victory and getting an exclusive interview, you have the great fortune, and I had the great fortune, of hearing from them directly at the WCS. Let's throw to the video. Hello everybody, welcome to this month in Master Duel's exclusive interview with your reigning and newly crowned world champions, Team 7. Jesse Cotton, Raymond Dye, Ryan Yu. Do you want me to use your in-game tags? I could, but
it's all of our
Ray,
names.
Ryan, Jesse Cotton.
To be fair.
That was last year.
Yeah,
But
last year.
I changed it so this year I would get a different nameplate. So I have 2 different nameplates now. It's kind of like I could, you know?
I didn't account for that. Mine is the same.
Well, it happens. Anyway, very big congratulations. Yeah, I'm joined by the World Champions. I'm also joined by Chilled Chaos, who you may have seen on commentary for the World Championship with me for the Master Duel category. Really hard fought duels. We caught up with you earlier today and, you know, we discussed day 1 maybe didn't go as planned, but day 2, it's been a dream. Tell me more about this grand final series against Snipe Hunters.
Sure. So, grand finals. How do I put this? I was very concerned, focused on my own game because I have to play through a field with tier, and a big part of my deck is like I don't stop them with hand traps. I have to face the full brunt of whatever deck they're playing, the full force of it. I'm able to do that, but it requires me to be laser focused, making sure I'm not making mistakes. And I feel like I did well, but that I have no idea what happened in their games. I just know that they won.
I also have no idea what happened in their games, honestly, but they did really well. So, Tillerman's mirror match, we were hyping up on broadcast, just saying, look, oh my god, Jesse versus Quantal, that's going to be so good. Didn't happen because suffering from success denied me the mirror match, but hey, we get there. Pearly as a deck choice. We saw a lot of the North American teams actually default to that. Was there any kind of extensive prep that you did with BOTB and Maxi to facilitate that, or was it just regional method?
We originally were thinking about doing it, but we weren't sure how the group pairings would be. So we decided it was best not to reveal that information too early.
We were concerned if we were in the same group as the other team we tested with, it'd be competition.
Yeah, but in the end, we didn't choose purely as a main deck. It was more laser focused on beating Centurion or Runic Stun, decks like that.
So what made you pick it in this game?
So we knew Emery's deck's choices were Flu and Centurion, both of which I don't think Ubel does too well against. So we opted that the purely deck, if it does its game plan, should have a very good chance at winning, regardless of which deck that Emery picks.
This is the most I've ever heard Raymond Dye speak. But yeah. Someone that is no stranger to speaking a lot about his love of Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel, Ryan Yu. I saw you play some Vanquish Soul, a little bit.
I did play Vanquish Soul.
How's that?
So, can I give a shout out to someone who helped me? Not really?
Yeah, okay.
Okay, yeah.
I'll approve it.
Steven Santoli, another Canadian player, good friend of ours. He's someone who absolutely loves Vanquish Soul. I was inspired by how well he's able to do with it in the TCG. So it was one of the first decks that came to our minds for Master Duel Worlds. And I played Snake Eye Fire King as my main deck, which has a very, very weak matchup to Sky Striker. Soul Release Sky Striker with Thrust and Age is very
You're playing
powerful.
too much with Raymond Dye.
Yes, actually. So I just
Both
wanted
play it.
I just wanted a deck that would cover that weakness, and Vanquish Soul was just perfect for the role.
Excellent. So I've asked you a lot of in-depth surface level Yu-Gi-Oh! Related at least questions. Chilled Chaos now is going to ask you some truly off-the-wall ones.
So Sphere Mode, will it make a return in 2025? Thoughts?
That card is really not that bad, so fully possible.
Thank you. He was ragging on me for 10 hours yesterday.
I was okay with it.
No, Sphere Mode, would you throw one in your deck for me next year? Anyone? Just on one spot.
It
Maybe.
very much depends on the performance. The biggest thing with Sphere Mode is that fantastic cleaning threats on the field, but if interrupts are kept in the hand and in the grave, like Fairy Tale Snow, Promethean Princess, and
Yeah,
Hand
of course
Traps,
you went to Snow first, yeah.
Yeah.
you know who I am. then yes, Fear Mode isn't effective. But in the right matchup, that card is perfectly good. So yeah.
Thank you for the vindication. And I still will never forget you beat our team in the Master Duel Invitational 2, and we never got.
You beat my teammate though.
I did. Oh, that felt good.
How do you lose a duel to Chilled Chaos?
I didn't lose, my teammate.
I'm the guy that asked the danger twice.
You win as a team and you lose as a
You
team.
did it twice?
Yeah. Thank you,
I
Ryan.
didn't see the
Winning as a
second
team, something Team 7 are very familiar with. Yeah, I guess there's not much else to say except Ryan got to shout out to his friend. Do Ray, Jesse, you have any shout outs you want to give?
Shout outs to my Chill Chaos.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much.
My friends back home at Michigan, thank you all so much for the support. It means a lot.
I don't even know. I have so many friends that support along the way, I guess.
Wow, odd flex.
No, not you. Wow, it's so much of a flex.
I don't think I can even add this part.
Sure.
At this point, we're just, yeah.
Most importantly, my family, I guess, my parents.
Ah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you very much for watching, and yeah, thanks Team 7. Master Duel World Champions.
Thank you. Congratulations.
What a team. The new world champions, of course, of Master Duel, Team 7, and they are very worthy of it. I'm very happy for them personally, even though that meant a U team was losing in the finals. They definitely are very charismatic, and I love them, and they're very, very good at the game, of course.
Yeah, of course, just really happy to see that they were so willing to talk to us as well. Always great to hear from them, and honestly, again, a huge congratulations to Jesse, to Ray, and to Ryan.
But now I will put up a masterclass of a performance in the guess the percentage game, because we're flipping the sides this time, of course. You have some cards prepared to ask me about it. I actually did this last month as a guest, and I did awful, but this time I have the preparation of last month, so
I realized we
let's
forgot
go.
to use the buzzer, and I might use it for this, but I also
Okay,
feel quite
okay.
bad using it for this because I know what it's like to be on the receiving end of it.
Oh, you can go ahead. I can handle it. I can handle it.
Okay, all right. Yeah, okay, so let's jump straight in to guess the percentage with Lampy and me. I'm going to be Ed this time around, just asking the questions. First things first, can you tell me the percentage of Wing Dragon and Ra Sphere mode?
Oh.
No, not really, not really. Shout out to you, Chilled Chaos. Yeah, so first things first.
Ooh.
Elder Entity Ntus.
You have a personal connection to that card as well,
I do
though,
indeed
right?
have a personal connection to that card as I channel the Elder Entity every time I say Ntus, apparently according to Farfa last time we spoke. But also because the last time we discussed Enigmaster Packbit and its viability as a Dogmatica punishment target, this came up as the other go-to, of course, getting you that destruction.
Yeah, so pretty much that also is what it comes down to. I think this card is not being run anywhere else besides that sole purpose of being a Dogmatica punishment target. Therefore, the number can't really go any higher than 10%, I want to say. So I will just go with 7.2%. It may even be a little high, I don't know.
It's actually a little bit higher than maybe you'd expect.
Oh, okay.
I didn't use the buzzer, but you were quite far off. 16.4%
that's a lot.
of use. And primarily, as you said, through that Dogmatica punishment.
Must be a lot of Labyrinth players on the ladder then, of course.
Must be, but I think there are a couple of other decks that do
Stun,
utilize
for example, as well,
the
true.
Dogmatica punishment as well. Yeah. Not quite going to see that encroached upon by Enigmaster Packbit quite yet, but I guess that's also due to the hefty price of a discard attached to Packbit.
Fair, absolutely.
Moving on, let's go straight to something that we did see a lot of this weekend as, honestly, a game decider. Chaos Angel will be your next card to guess the percentage of.
Chaos Angel is an interesting one because the decks that run Chaos Angel, like some of them, do also run Pot of Extravagance, and therefore they have to up the number of Chaos Angels in their extra deck. For example, Labyrinth you see very often being played as a free off. So that one is making me think really hard. Can you give me any hints potentially? Any ballpark? Or shall I just do it myself?
More commonly used than Elder Entity Natus.
That's already quite the statement. I mean, it's also played in Centurion, of course. It even nowadays is played in some decks where you wouldn't really expect it, like Jubel. That technology also came into place at some point. And so I would say when it's higher than punishment, I will go 24.2%.
It is actually 32%.
Wow, that's a lot. That's so much. I didn't think it would be that much because there's still like Fire King Snake Eye, not that popular on the ladder anymore, I guess, because nobody is playing that in that deck. Well, it's still, yeah.
Yeah.
Chaos Angel really being an impactful card right now.
Chaos Angel indeed being really impactful, really popular as we saw at WCS.
Yeah.
Something we didn't see too much of though. Herald of the Arc Light. Tell me more about this. Where do we usually see it?
Voiceless Voice would be the main deck where you would see that. Of course, also some other ritual decks like Drytron occasionally are going to show off on the ladder, but mainly it would be Voiceless Voice. I feel like Voiceless Voice was decently popular on the ladder, so I wouldn't go below 10%. It would be right around that though, so I will go with my favorite number, 11%.
Slightly off, but actually very close and very sound reasoning. Sound reasoning, despite being in voiceless, is 15.2% of use. Of course, kind of signifying the rise of Voiceless Voice as one of the competitive decks that we're seeing. As you mentioned, Drytron, other ritual-based themes as well. I don't know if Mikanko plays it.
You can.
Yeah, you can. But primarily Voiceless Voice, and that will mean 15.2. Something a little bit more generic than that, a little bit more versatile, a little bit more common. That's your hint as well. Effect Veiler now being the next option. Of course, this negation, this disruption, this tuner in a worst case scenario has been really, really important.
Absolutely. So, of course, you at home also guess with us. Put your guesses into the chat. But I would say for Effect Veiler, it will definitely be the highest percentage so far. You also kind of gave me that hint already. And I don't think we're going to go over 50, but we're getting closer to that. So I will go 43%.
Very, very close. Credit to you. 45.7% actually for Effect Veiler. Again, just being super versatile. One of the more common disruptions that we see. When it comes to kind of cutting those must-have cards, it does kind of fall by the wayside for a lot of the decks that do want to make space, because it's not quite as integral to a lot of strategies as Called by the Grave, as Ash Blossom Enjoy Spring, or as the next card that we're going to be doing. Max C is your last card to guess.
So, I thought back last month, Max C was around 90%.
Yes.
And now the question is, did it go up or did it go down? I feel like, you don't have to tell me, I'm trying to make that up myself. I feel like it did go down. Some feeling is telling me that it went down, so I will go below 90%, saying it is 88.7.
You're quite close, but actually pretty far off at the same time if we want to go by decimal points. 91.8%.
Oh, it went back up.
For Maxi there. Yeah, it's still a good answer to whatever your opponent is doing. You know, we mentioned for Effect Veiler, super versatile, sorry. Maxi actually on that same level of versatility, just really good at offering disruption because they don't want to commit too much to the field for fear of giving you too many cards in hand to answer next turn.
Yeah.
Someone who was really good at using Maxi over the past weekend.
Okay.
He resolved it, I think, a total of 3 times. No, like actually 3 times. Quantal Think. Should we hear from him?
Quantal, let's bring him on. There he is. Quantal, how you feeling today?
I'm feeling good. Arrived yesterday, late night, but feeling good, even though lose to the final. But
still made it to the final though, and you played so good, so well. I mean, so well.
You were mentioning the Maxi. How often were you on the receiving end of Maxi then throughout the tournament? Any statistics on that?
Not that often, pretty sure. I think the most times Maxi resolved was definitely the final.
Oh yeah, fair enough. And then maybe as one question, what was your most, or what was the most intense game you played throughout the tournament at the World Championship?
I think the most intense game was definitely round 5, set 2 against, I don't remember.
Was it Greed?
His name,
it might have been Greed from CER.
It was the Greed team. It was a CER team, sure.
Player.
Yeah. So it was not Nakwal. It was not Greed. It was the 3rd player on CER.
It was the 3rd player, I think, but who played Branded, and that game was very important in making sure that we would make it out of the groups. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, true, because that was the one that only gave you the chance to advance to the third set, right? And if you wouldn't have gotten that game, you probably would have not been second place anymore, right?
yeah, we would have been behind by
Yeah.
game wins, which
Yeah, true. I remember sweating that live. You were also celebrating it as a victory of the World Championship already. But I mean, deserved so, because that saved you the spot in the top 4. So you played Telemans mainly, but you also brought Voiceless Voice to the tournament, didn't you?
yes, I did bring Voiceless Voice. It was to combat Tielemans. One of the weaknesses I had with the deck was stun and bestial heavy decks, and I built Voice in a way that it would beat more stun line deck and more like a bestial heavy Centurion or something like that.
Yeah.
Fair. So talking about the cards that are already impressive last weekend, but now getting into some new cards, I want to say.
Fantastic segue right there. You are
Because-
channeling Ed right now.
I'm trying my best, because we are together going to look at the new selection pack coming up just tomorrow.
Yes, so this is Advance of Great Forces coming out tomorrow, as Lampy did kindly mention there. Ancient Gear Dark Golem on the front cover there. Why don't we go into detail as to some of the cards players can expect to see? You'll see Ancient Gear Dark Golem, you'll see Enlightenment Dragon, Ragnarika Star Sovereign, and more.
And absolutely more. We also see the Aromalith Rosmarin. And Quantal, what do you expect from this? Do you see any immediate impact that jumps to your eye? What do you think is the meta going to expect from this?
Looking back from TCG, what has it done well in TCG? I think the Aroma Rosemary is going to do quite. It's going to be interesting. I've seen a lot of the plant players play it in their plant decks.
Of course.
Enabling you to extend further and improve the board further. I've seen some of the new Lightsworn cards really hit off. Could be interesting in a more 60-card version of a Tierman deck, for example, with the new Minerva Synchro.
You always think of your Telemans, don't you?
Whatever gets my deck milling.
Ragnarika is also solid to reinforce the plant-based strategies, correct?
Absolutely.
Yes, the Ragnarikas enable a lot of extra starters, and the Lake Monsters are also really interesting in a way that they all have the ability to revive themselves from the graveyard by placing a Moss of the Field to the bottom of the deck, which makes them all very good in a resource grind situation.
Yeah.
Nice. So we touched on the some of the featured cards there, but let's go into a little bit more detail on what we can expect to see.
Yeah, first of all, of course, the Ancient Gear Dark Golem is one of the showcased cards. Actually, the cover card that you also can just see behind you there on the screen. And that is, of course, a support card for Ancient Gear in general. Quantal, any thoughts on that?
I think the Ancient Gear Dark Golem is going to be, for Ancient Gear players, definitely a mainstay in the deck. Just being able to search two cards to any two Ancient Gears or Gear Town or deck to your hand sounds amazing. It has the same restriction as Ancient Gear Wyvern, which should not be too relevant in Ancient Gear.
You're not allowed to set cards anymore. Oh no.
Well, with Ancient Gear, I hope that you'll be able to do a one-turn.
Yeah, but usually the strategy, like, you don't need another turn, you just go in, you try to... it's a pretty streamlined strategy, isn't it? Like, you're trying to get your boss monster out, and then you're trying to just win the game on that turn, right?
Yeah.
Pretty much. And I think that card definitely helps with that, for sure. So that is, I mean, probably going to have a couple of other Ancient Gear support cards in there, and I'm very excited for that, because that deck seems like fun on the ladder, for sure.
Yeah, and probably going to take a look at some of the other cards that will come alongside it now.
All right.
Okay.
Next up, we have Enlightenment Dragon.
Yep, Enlightenment Dragon, of course, as Quantal did mention, the new Lightsworn cards, really good at reinforcing that strategy and getting more cards into the graveyard. Just taking cards from top of the deck, immediately sending them for cost more often than not as well, and just really good at bolstering a lot of these strategies that do rely on the graveyard.
Yeah, I mean, Lightsworns have been around for forever, so it's great to see more support
I mean, we
coming.
have the Live Destruction
true.
reprint around here as well.
Yeah, that new wave definitely gives the deck another bit of support. Also, kind of popular is the combination of Lightsworn cards together with the Centurion cards. I saw that a lot in the TCG. That might also now be something happening in Master Duel as well, because they bridge quite well with each other, because the Lightsworn cards can pretty easily bring you into Auxilla, for example, which then gets your Centurion card started. Do you think we're going to see that, Quantal?
It's another option that a lot of Lightsworn players could do with a small Centurion package, as the Lightsworns are very good at making a level 12 Synchro, which Auxilla just gets you the full engine in one go on its own. So I could definitely see a lot of Lightsworn decks especially take advantage of some of that resource.
Absolutely.
Okay, and I think we had one more just on in regards to the featured cards. I think it was the Ragnarika Stag Sovereign that we'll be taking a look at as well. We mentioned this kind of plant engine, insect engine even as well, just really supports a lot of the strategies that we're seeing in terms of getting more recurrence from the graveyard and just helping build upon the existing combos that were otherwise lacking a little bit in terms of consistency.
Funnily enough, it's insects and not plants that the Ragnarika cards are, but still they're working so well together with the plants, and I think
just
we're going
like
to
in real
expect...
life.
Yeah, exactly. They are very, very well working together, and I think we are going to expect that to be combined with Sun Avalon and Rika. But also, I think pretty interesting could be the combination with Trap Tricks, maybe. I saw that being combined very often together as well. So that could be another way of going. Quantal, do you look forward to combining anything with Ragnarika yourself?
I have been an enjoyer of decks such as Beat Trooper, which could definitely be using a powerful end board piece, which definitely this card could be one of the options that you would be ending on, as just destroyed exactly two moss on the field.
For sure.
It's just a good card.
Yeah, so some really, really great cards in here that support your existing strategies, bring some new strategies to the table. And yeah, just really excited to see exactly what we can get in advance of Great Forces releasing tomorrow. So please see the in-game store for more information and get your hands on these great cards.
Absolutely. And now let's have a look at the official trailer to the cards as well, right? Oh no, we don't have that available, right? That's for later, of course. So next up though, we do have additional guests here for our show, don't we?
Yes, we do. We have one additional guest to add alongside Quantal, another WCS competitor that actually did open up the World Championship by facing off against Quantal's team. It is CER2 XFCG's RJ.
There we have
Hello, RJ.
Welcome to the show, RJ. How are you doing today?
Yeah, good.
Okay, very good.
And, I'm good now.
Had a good night of sleep after WCS travels?
Yeah, it's exhausted because it's take 11 or 12 hours flight from Taiwan to USA. Yeah.
Fair.
How did you?
I'm good now.
How did you find the games while you were there? Your duels against? Yeah.
You mean WCS?
Yeah, a WCS.
Actually, I'm not really satisfied with my performance in WCS, but I think I've done my best. Yeah, maybe not so lucky in those games. Yeah, but yeah, I think I done all I can prepare, and it was the best outcome I can get. Yeah.
Yeah. Fair enough. You played very well.
Totally did.
Especially against Snipe Hunters in that opening round. Sorry, Quantal.
For sure.
Yeah.
Your main deck was Jubel, wasn't it? Was that like your clear deck number one? I would assume so, right? Did you think it was the best deck
Yeah.
in the format overall, or was it just the best in terms of team shared cards, consent? So you would be happy to play Jubel there?
Before I submit my deck, I think Jubel is the best deck. But
Okay.
I've done several of games and play, and I think that maybe Fire King is the best deck now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. So you played a lot against Fire King throughout the tournament, I would assume. How was the matchup looking for you? Did you usually just play your Jubel deck against Fire King, or did you sometimes pivot over to your second deck?
Yeah, I sometimes pivot to my second deck is Tournaments.
Yeah, exactly. Because that has a decent
yeah.
matchup against Fire King, doesn't it?
Yes, but actually I built it for the trap deck that
Oh.
Jubel is not good against. Yeah, to play against. Yeah.
Fair, fair.
On the topic of WCS games, both that you guys played in and also were taking place at the event, we actually have a couple of recordings of the games that did take place to go through with you guys. Shall we get started?
Absolutely. Let's go in.
Okay. Audience, you're very lucky. We're very lucky, Lampy, to be able to hear directly from the experts themselves
Yeah.
as we do immediately load into game.
Oh, the beautiful animation. I said it before the show started to you. I always get goosebumps when I see that World Championship animation going into the game in Master Duel.
Yeah. So, what is this one? RJ, you're actually playing in this one. It is your game against Stella.
There we go. So, going first. And that's the start you want, isn't it?
Yeah.
Opening of the Spirit Gates into Dark Beckoning Beast, searching the Chaos Summoning Beast now as well. So, what made you think that Jubel was the best deck before the World Championship? Because when you submitted your deck, you were clearly thinking this was the best choice. Do you just think it has the highest ceiling throughout the decks, or what is your personal take on that?
I think Jubel can play a lot of hand traps, and it's good to hand traps like Maxi because it has a Phantom. Yeah.
Fair.
Conversely,
So,
Quantal.
yeah.
Oh, sorry, RJ, please.
Yeah. Nah, that's it. It's okay.
Okay. Conversely, Quantal, your team didn't actually run Jubel, I think.
No, we didn't. That was mostly determined by when we decided to share the third card. Most teams that had Jubel shared Called By, but we had decided to share Infirm instead, which made us play decks that were not Jubel because we felt that Called By was a mandatory pick for Jubel.
Okay, and which deck did you dedicate the Called By to, if not to the Jubel? Was it to your Tillerman's deck, or was it Josh's Snake Eye Fire
It was
King?
to the Fire King Snake Eye deck. We felt that
Okay.
was the most vulnerable to Maxi and required the most chance of having an out to Maxi in order to take full advantage of the deck's power.
Well, we're in that hearing from Quantal how they decided against Jubel. We see RJ on screen showing us why he would pick Jubel for this tournament, because that field is super impressive. Double Phantom of Jubel even. Was that something you did more regularly, just ending on 2 of them, or was that just occasionally here because you had so much in terms of engine there?
I'm carrying the Skybird of the Fire King, so I
yeah.
made 2 Phantom.
Fair.
Yeah.
Playing around that is smart for sure. So we see Stella, team captain of that team, being on the Fire King Snake Eye deck and going for Poplar here. What do you feel the most when you set up this field? Is there anything you're afraid of, or are you feeling super, super comfortable, super, super safe right now?
Yeah, I think it's super comfortable when I face against Fire King. I know I win it at like 95%, yeah.
That's fair. That's an interesting timing though there for your escape. You decide to destroy the Diabellstar Witch. Why specifically was it that moment that you wanted to do that?
I'm playing around the Little Mine. Yeah.
True. There already was the Linkuriboh on the field, so you kind of had to do something about it. Fair.
Yeah.
There's the call back from Stella, by the way, so they decided to share that call by the grave.
Correct read by Quantal there to say that the Viking Snake Eye would almost always take that as the insurance policy.
Yeah.
But how can it play through all of this?
SP, Little Knight. Now not on the side of Stella, where RJ was fearing it, but on the side of RJ himself. Fire King Island next. Destroying the Kirin. And at that point, we haven't even used the effect of Appaloosa a single time. Here it is for the first time ever. And yeah, we get to resolve the Garudek's hand effect, but as soon as it will hit the field, I'm assuming we're just going to negate it again, maybe? At that point, we may not even have to, but we still are making sure to do so.
Yeah. Full material Appaloosa as well.
Yeah, we basically had everything there. And probably RJ still has like Effect Veil or Ash Blossom waiting in hand to be used as well. Do you remember what cards you had left in hand there, by any chance?
I think it's better. I think it's better.
There you go, yeah, there you go. So there was really nothing to be afraid of. And there's Stella, pretty much just clearing his own field, negating the last effect. There is the Appaloosa going down to 0 attack. And that is 0 cards left for Stella.
Also, something we saw was that it's quite hard for Ubel to finish a game just because of the 0 attack, especially when there's no monster on the opponent's side of the field.
True.
But this is a way to finish the game.
Especially with the access code talker using a Link 4 monster there, going up to 6,300 attack points. And then just a single Yama on top of that already guarantees the game. I think, RJ, you probably just wanted to get it over quickly there, right? Going as quickly as possible, just ending it there.
Yes.
No beauty, just making it quick, and that was your win there against Stella. So that was a good one. I mean, how many games like that did you have throughout the weekend where you just went first with Ubel and everything went according to plan and you could just rely on that field being your guarantee to win the match?
I think there's like 3 games. I go first, and then the opponent has no hand traps, and I finish my old combo and free win.
Yeah, Quantal, you still think that avoiding the Ubel was the correct read on the meta? I mean, you got to the grand finals, so it looked to have worked out for you.
We felt that Ubel was very it had a very inconsistent way of either being really strong or being bricky. Where we felt that if it didn't open Nightmare Throne or Samsara D Lotus, that the deck's ceiling was a lot lower than a lot of the other decks. So we felt that Centurion was a lot safer as a pick. Also as a deck that would beat Ubel, or a deck like Voiceless, for example. We felt that Centurion was just a safer pick, and that deck took more advantage of a shared card such as Imperm.
Yeah. And I mean, the win rate of the Centurion deck from Emmer was through the roof, so definitely your call worked out eventually, right?
Yes, I mean, Emre really showed what our edge was in the Centurion deck, which had an insane win rate.
I mean, he went 12-3 overall on day one. Part of that was Flanderies coming in clutch, though. But you did win a couple of games. I think we have one of those ready. I don't know if it's the next one, though, as you may very well have to relive your game against Maguro, which has gone quite viral in the Japanese-speaking Master communities.
Not only there, it's just it was a super, super intense game. Everywhere in the world, people loved that. So let's see what our next game is. Is it going to be immediately the one from Quantal against Maguro? Or do we have something else first? We do get to see Quantal, for sure, going first. Oh, it's against Judo first.
No.
Okay, fair enough.
Okay.
Fair enough.
Your time to shine, Quantal.
Yeah, I don't quite remember what my hand was in the situation, but we'll see in a second. But,
was he on Vanquish Soul or was he on something else?
I think this was Ubel. We knew he had Vanquish Soul in the back, but we knew that he would not queue Vanquish Soul into tier limit because Vanquish Soul has a really bad tier limit matchup, and it just would be foolish to really play Vanquish Soul to the tier deck.
Some people would say it would be foolish to play Telements against Jesse Cotton, but you still won last year. So, you know.
Well,
was it
not
ever
quite that
sorry.
match, but yes.
Was it ever a consideration to not play Telements? How early was it clear that you're going to bring Telements to the World Championship?
We felt that quite early. We realized that we had to either bring Brandon or Telements. And we felt that Josh had to play Fire King Snake Eye in order to maximize our chances of making through the groups, which is the tiebreaker of the team leader. So
okay.
it ended up
Good
being
strategy.
me
Very much.
probably play either Brandon or Tier, and I felt that Tier was just the more comfortable pick into Maxi and in general.
Yeah, I feel that. You went for a pretty interesting strategy here, though, by summoning the Baguska on your first turn. Was that something like a plan B, or was that something you were doing more often?
I felt that when my mills were not ideal, you'd say, I felt that decks such as Ubel and Fire King, even though they could play through Baguska, they'd have to waste a lot of resources in order to do so. And Baguska also was a very powerful card against a deck like Branded. So if my board wasn't established, I'd make Baguska over a Dweller.
You really ran a lot of rank 4s this weekend with the Baguska, Terribly Tied Tapir, with Abyss Dweller, as you mentioned, even Gugaris as well being an option at times.
Yeah, I felt that having a lot of rank 4 toolbox allowed me to really just explore all the options. They all, in their own parts, came up in situations, and I mean, it just made a good choice in the long run.
Ooh, there comes Rage now. Were you surprised that he didn't go for access code Talker there, or was that the correct play in your opinion to just go Rage here?
I felt that if he made, I mean, Judeo at this point knows that I had a Reinhardt in hand.
True.
So, making an access code would make so that his escape in that set right now would be completely dead.
True.
So, if that's happened, I think that Judeo would. I mean, I think Judeo at this point only has a Veiler in hand, so he would have to rely on the Veiler in order to stop my play. But at this point, the Zeus protects me from the Veiler, which Judeo uses now, but I am able to dodge because the Zeus allowed me to just play through the hand trap.
So, RJ, if you were playing Ubel here, how would you deal with the Telements deck and what Quantal has presented?
Maybe I think maybe the Little Knight, but
Yeah, there was access to
I
Little
mean,
Knight
yeah.
at some point.
yeah, maybe the Little Knight, and because it can change the Keto colors, and maybe not die in this turn, and you can make a turn back to you, and you have a lot of resource. Yeah,
that's fair. But here Quantal definitely capitalized on that Zeus, and now can also use the Scream that he was able to search through the Trivikarma. How many Trivikarmas did you end up playing, Quantal, in your list?
Just the one.
Just
I
the
felt that it was not necessary to play more copies of a card you'd rather not draw, but you would like to mill. Once you have the engine, you don't need to really search any more cards.
Yeah, interesting, because I think, for example, Jesse did decide to run multiple copies of that, didn't he?
Yes, but Jesse's deck, I feel, also has a lot more ways to discard from hand, and also his 60-card tier limit deck also takes a lot more advantage of Thrust in order to search Grass, which gets just a lot more mills, and cards such as Trivikarma and Rainbow Bridge would help him get more engine, which was really important for him.
Rainbow Bridge of Salvation, of course, being a very good option at searching the Primeval Planet Pillar Rhino, which in turn makes everything a little bit more cyclical and smooth for the Tillemans build.
Totally. And now Judo was still fighting, but he did not manage to break through that field there. And I think here at this point, everything looking really good for Quanto. Not even not using effect of Rhino Heart would have screwed you here, I think. You were pretty safe there at that point.
Well, I did need to send a tier, I mean Aqua, in order to ensure that Kaleido could shuffle something, because Spirit can be tricky sometimes in making sure to, when you're trying to deal lethal damage, and that's why I'm using Dweller here, in order to make sure that when I do attack over, destroy the U-Bell with Rukulos, that it won't float.
Yeah, perfectly played around it here. People might be wondering, hey, why that Dweller? But you already knew the card in hand, so obviously there was a very, very solid reasoning for that. And you are the one coming out on top here against Judo, one of the Brazilian players at the World Championship. Super nice guy, right? You had an interview with him as well.
Yeah, I had a pre-finals interview, and super good to hear from him. Yeah, really appreciated that he had the similar read as Ryan with the Vanquish Soul.
Yeah.
In terms of the matchups, but as you mentioned, Quantor, not the best matchup into the Tillemans deck, and therefore we see Ubel chosen this time around, even if it did not work out, because Quantor, as it turns out, pretty good at Tillemans.
Yeah, you might think so. Even though now in the already...
Yeah, even though what we're about to see maybe didn't go quite as planned, still one of the best games we've seen all year, one of the best games we saw all tournament, and one of the best games I think we will see for a good while now. Quantal on the Tillemans deck taking on Heroes Future with Maguro, Snake Eyes, Fire King.
Let's see it. Let's bring it on. Let's re-watch it once more together.
RJ, are you familiar with this game? Were you able to catch it? Maguro versus Quanto?
No, it's my first time to watch it.
Wow, that's nice. Now we already hyped it so much. I hope you're satisfied with it. But definitely for the viewing experience, it was super, super fun. Quanto, how much fun was it as a player?
This game?
Yeah.
It was interesting.
Fair.
I would make a play and then realize I should have made a different play.
Okay, let us know when that is, for
exactly, when my opponent maxied me here, thinking for a solid minute on which talents effect to use. But luckily, I got foolish good for Karma to get my Rhino Heart.
Yeah, that
was
definitely
Rhino.
The other option would have been to look into their hand. And
yes.
Are you still satisfied with the decision of going for the drawing? I mean, you got what you wanted, but you can't always guarantee that. Just going by pure logic, are you still satisfied with the decision of drawing there overall?
I think yes.
Okay.
Just being able to get more information on just making sure that I get to play the game. Because I feel like most of the time when Tier gets to play, they'll be able to always get that edge to stop more interaction than anything.
Fair.
The analysis is amazing, but just to take a step back and say that you really upset the English broadcast, because Dizif was like, every Kit Carlos that I've seen is Royal Finish, and then you're just like yeah, winning regardless.
Also,
yeah.
I think you discarded Maxi right away at the start for Msadi, and it doesn't seem like you have another one, or do you?
I don't. I felt that Maxi going first is very unreliable, as it doesn't quite stop my opponents from trying to finish the game, as I don't actually have any draws that would act as like a Nibiru or something similar as such. So my opponent, if I had no more interrupts, could just try to finish the game. So I felt that other cards in my hand were more important to keep in rotation.
Yeah.
RJ,
fair.
how are you feeling about this one so far?
Yeah, Maxi is unreliable in tournaments, but I think it's the only thing I can rely it when I go second, right?
For sure. And
yeah.
Go ahead. So, interestingly enough, you decided to summon both monsters in defense position. RJ, do you think that's something you always want to do against Fire King, or is that something that just Quantal did here randomly?
I think summoning defense is just kill the TTT, maybe.
Oh yeah,
yeah,
fair.
it's
You
for
don't want
triple
to...
tactics talent. I don't do it here, as I probably should have put in defense still, but I mean at this point it didn't matter if Magro had talents, because I would have lost the game anyway, but on the spot
sure.
rather.
What was the deciding factor that that Maguru had there that kept him pushing? I think it was the Ponyx in hand, or what was it?
Magro had a lot of... had the Ponyx in hand, which let him further extend, which got him the entire Fire King package. But Magro still couldn't quite finish the game because of the Shuffler in my grave, which stopped him from being able to Princess... try to do a Princess line to finish the game.
Yeah, that's
Where
true.
here, for example, I use Keldo to shuffle back better top decks.
Alright, into the battle phase, getting rid of that Kaleido Heart. You were mentioning that you had like 2 mistakes afterwards that you recognized in this game. Did we see any of those so far already, or are you satisfied up until this point?
Earlier, if I had shuffled with Kaleido an Okanix on the field instead of the Ponyx, I feel that Magro would have had one less body, which would have been quite hefty in order for Magro to be able to play or get rid of more pieces of the field.
Yeah. But like here, I even was surprised the moment you activated the Grief, because I didn't realize you could just bring back Kaleido Heart from the graveyard, and that Grief alone, you probably drew that from the top of your deck, right?
Yes, I had shuffled that the previous turn back with the Shuffler, so that was my draw, which at this point I should have finished the game at this point.
All right, so anything you're playing around here? Anything you're afraid of necessarily?
At this point, I wasn't quite afraid of anything, which I was trying to finish the game as quickly as possible, thinking that Magro's card in hand was probably just a dead card, dead fire monster, for example.
Yeah. So there is
here you're about to see my massive misplay, which I should have made a Dweller, which would have been exactly 8,050 damage, but instead I make Dugaras and double Ruthless attack, which would also skip my next battle phase, which makes the Biru very annoying because I have no tier card in hand to discard for Ruthless effect, so I have to send itself.
Yeah, true. And Dweller would have boosted the attack of the rule colors that would have come back here as well. So we see rule colors, of course, going back down to 3,500, so it's not game anymore. But with the Dweller having a permanent attack boost to all monsters that are water, that would have been the moment you needed it here.
Yeah.
But I mean,
So
still,
here
you're probably not feeling too bad, right? This still looks like a winnable situation, to be fair.
It is winnable, but it's definitely a lot more challenging with how the board state is. I mean, Magro still has to play the Rule Coloss plus Kaleido, but
yeah,
we all collectively laughed when Maxi got normal summoned, but yeah. I will say at this point, everyone else's game was over, and I think Magro was just totally in the zone. He had his teammates supporting him as well, but still in a good position with you skipping your battle phase.
the only top deck in this situation for Magro was in fact specifically Diabellstar, which was funny enough. which so happened to be Magro's draw, which was quite unfortunate.
There it is, yeah. Blinking up. And there we also, of course, now see the Hita. And are you still feeling all right, or do you now already start feeling that this might become a little bit dangerous?
Well, it was already quite annoying that, I mean, at this point I already knew that if Magro plays correctly that he'd out the board. As if he had, for example, added a Poplar and used Poplar, or rather the Kieran affecting Graveyard, it would have been a lot harder for Magro to play through the board. And at this point, not much I could do.
Yeah, and I mean he did that pretty smart with the Hita as well, right? Because the reason that he went into Hita was to actually protect the Garunix in the graveyard, because he could have negated the Garunix with the Underworld Goddess, right? But he did chain block that.
Yes, the Hita allowed Magro to chain block and also add Snake Eye Ash because he didn't use a normal summon yet because of the Diabell Star.
I actually forgot that he had that secondary effect, because typically I'd use it to grab the Ash Blossom from the opponent's graveyard.
Totally.
And then link off again into Promethean Princess, for example. So, yeah, really, really well played by Magro to have the presence of mind for that. And now, Quantal, you're in a really difficult position facing down the Appaloosa.
Well,
But only
to be
3
honest
points
here,
from
if I had top decked a specifically any monster with 1500 or more attack, I would have had game at this point. Because of Reinhardt, for example, would be an insane top deck, but sadly it wasn't.
Wasn't meant to be, so Maguro now advancing. Also, something that we definitely need to say here is it was basically not just Maguro, right? At that point, you're playing against the whole team of Heroes Future, because they're all trying to play together, trying to help them out, and there is the attack for game.
Yeah, I spoke with Magro after this, and I said, "You are the best Fire King Snake Eye player in the world." And he said, "No, we are the best Fire King Snake Eye players in the world, because we all helped each other with that one."
Yeah, absolutely. So that game indeed went very viral, not only in the OCG community, but also over in the European and the American community. Everyone was just saying, yo, this was the craziest game ever. And funnily enough, apparently Maguro, before the tournament, didn't really like Appaloosa, but after that match, he was like, I love Appaloosa. From that point on.
So, we've seen some fantastic high-level gameplay from our players at the World Championship. However, we also would like you guys to take us through some high-level gameplay from our community in the Challenger Cup that we know that both of you have been participating in. RJ, you've been hosting them. Quantal, your teammates have been hosting some. Let's see some Challenger Cup gameplay.
Yeah, this one is specifically from the 3v3 Asia vs. Europe Challenger Cup. And we see there was, I actually picked out those clips, and this one is quite interesting because we see the combination of Sword Soul with Centurion. Do we just now combine like everything that is synchro related with Centurion, RJ? Is that what we're doing?
Nah, that's the first time I saw it.
Yeah, it's funny, isn't it?
Yeah.
But I mean, as long as you have ways to synchro summon, why not also throw in the Centurion cards, right?
Yeah, cool.
There's your Auxilla now too.
Quantal, where do we go from here? Centurion and Sword Soul.
I'm going to be quite honest. I don't quite know what how the two decks exactly work together, but it seems, I mean, at this point, Lyrium has game shot on board on the field, and I mean, clearly the deck functions very well. Combination.
Always a good
Absolutely. I mean, yeah. But that's the thing, right? those
combination.
earlier rounds of Challenger Cups, you do get to see some of the funny decks. You do get to see some more of the creative things. And I saw it for the first time, and apparently I could also surprise those two. So that's mission accomplished on that end.
We saw Centurion mixed with a lot of decks at WCS as well, particularly with the Super Heavy Samurai from CR Neckwall. That was a standout for us. Yeah, really, really good strategy there. We have some more Challenger Cup clips for you.
We do indeed. And this one was also super funny because whenever there is Europeans playing in the Challenger Cup, nowadays there's also Paleo.
Would it
So
have
let's
killed
look
you
into
to take him
this.
from RJ's perspective at any point?
I think I was also checking his stream for sure, but I don't know whether I put one of those in. Leoncolia now. Look at this. Leoncolia into the field of Jubel with a Phantom of Jubel out there. They're just going to go and copy or bring back the transaction rollback to the graveyard. And watch what's about to happen. Watch what's about to happen.
Oh,
what are we
Elemental
copying?
Burst.
Yep. We are indeed copying Elemental Burst. Look at this, man. But I also checked your reaction to this, RJ. You were laughing at this a lot as well, right?
Yeah, true. I actually think Duel has a bad matchup against this. Yeah.
It's pretty tough into
And
any
I
kind
know
of trap
Josh.
deck.
Yeah. And I know Josh played this, so I actually prepared the Heavy Stone for this, and it works like anyway.
Oh yeah, in the opening game, the Heavy Storm into the Labyrinth full set.
True, yeah.
Spell and Trap.
That worked out pretty
That
nicely.
was- yeah.
For sure. So those were like a little more of the funnier decks. But now we get to go a little deeper into the tournament where we see the top performing decks of the 3v3 Challenger Cup. So into the next clip we go. And what we're about to see is the comeback of a deck that then also transitioned to do really well into the WCS, which is Fluandereeze. To the both of you, what do you think about the resurgence of Fluandereeze? Is that mainly due to the Swallows Curry coming into the game? Is that the only reason for it?
I think it's also in TCG. I've seen a lot of people experiment with Fluandereeze as a counter pick to a deck such as Fire King, in a way that it doesn't interact with Promethean Princess, and also streak and banish very important resources such as Garunix.
Yeah, totally.
Which just, I mean, also naturally the fire decks are Lig heavy decks, which MPen keeps in check very well.
Yeah, for sure. RJ, did Fluandereeze as a deck ever cross your mind for the World Championship, maybe?
Yes, I know maybe there's some player play it, but I think there's not a choice of our team. Yeah, because none of us is a player of Fluandereeze. Yeah.
Well, Quantal teamed with Emre, who is the Fluandereeze guy, so yeah, maybe
so
made a little
happy
bit more
for him.
sense for Snipe Hunters there. And you mentioned great matchup into Snake Eye Fire King, which many consider, and rightfully so, to be the deck of the format. So yeah, again, just it made sense. And seeing the resurgence of it with, as you mentioned, the Kari coming, very, very strong. I think we have one more clip for you.
We do.
To go through.
There we have it. And so Ohimi with Fluandereeze made it into the finals, but also the STOR team made it to the finals and eventually took it all down there in the 3v3 Challenger Cup. And here we see Nash with a very, very, very funny deck, because as you can see, S-Drake already having a bunch of cards in hand. Usually an indicator for Max C, but let's witness what's happening from here on, because it is about to be pretty funny. And did anyone at the WCS actually play one of those 60-card Snake Eye Telements decks? RJ? Was there one?
I think no.
I don't think so either.
I think
no.
all the Snake Eye cards were committed to the Fire
Yeah,
Kings.
pretty much. That's true.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, I don't think any of the teams decided to allocate any of the Snake Eye cards to Tearlament.
Yeah. So we see there is a bazillion cards in hand at this point, basically. And of course, Nash still playing on. we are in the second turn, so this is not even the usual going first, our opponent's max sees us, and then we try to play into it, but this is actually, we are playing into a field and into max C, as we see S-Drake resolving Appaloosa now for the last time, and Nash chaining the 3v Karma. It's such a fun deck, isn't it? Because playing for a different way of winning the game always feels special, doesn't it? Like not going for the regular, hey, I attack for game, but going for a deck out strategy. Maybe because we see there was Necrophase being discarded there for the Msadi. That might be something noteworthy.
Yeah, I think Nesh at this point has 2 Necrophase Engrave, which in combination with Snow would allow Nesh to get rid of 11 cards to the opponent's deck.
Yeah.
Because of one of Maxi and the 10 bashes of Necrophase.
Absolutely. And the normal summon of Snake Eye Oak as well. He hadn't even normal summoned at this point. He was giving away all the special summons, but no normal summons so far.
RJ, how are you feeling at this point, watching this in motion?
I think if I'm S-Drake, I think in this point, my deck is definitely will be like deck out, right?
You're just praying, please time out, because Nash has been playing for a really long time at this point.
Yes.
And he keeps on going. And we actually see a card being summoned right after that Link Kuriboh that has not been very popular throughout the last couple of months in Master Duel, but now in this deck is having kind of a comeback. And why is that nobody really at the moment is running? I don't want to spoiler it, just a second.
Curious,
you spoiled it now, Quantal. Why is nobody playing this? That's kind of weird, right? Because Curious is such a crazy powerful card.
It requires a certain type of deck building where you need to have a lot of access to different attributes of the same type of, rather same attribute but different types of monsters, which the Light Swords, for example, are, but definitely not. A lot of the tier names, for example, require an engine such as Snake Eye with a combination of Verte to allow you to make Curious.
Yeah, that's fair. And as you were already mentioning, not only do we get to banish the Necrophases now with the Snow, we also got to banish the Curious, making sure that the Veiler is not going to negate our Curious there. Oh, that's looking like trouble now for S-Drake. Is that already going to be enough? I think we might pull it off here, right?
Yeah,
such a funny
I think it's enough. Yeah.
That's true, though. This is just insane. There comes the Oak. Also, yeah, Flamberge resolving. The amount of effects, the amount of special summons that this deck offers is just crazy. Oh, look at this. Necrophase.
Necrophase pass, and then, yeah.
I mean, we can just keep on special summoning because our opponent is drawing on our turn anyways throughout the Maxi. Funnily enough, now that the Necrophases are mandatory, they had to be Chainlink 1, Chainlink 2, and then the Necro Chainlink 3. If those would not be mandatory, we could have just ordered it the other way around. It would already be game in that exact moment. But now, we have to special summon first. They draw to 9 cards, and we can only banish the 9 cards from the top of their deck. But, I mean, we're playing a couple of Link monsters, so I guess we could pretty easily eliminate that number 0 there on the screen. Oh, Nibiru. Chain Link Kuriboh.
Nice. That was both competitive and funny. Great choice.
Absolutely. Thank you. I laughed at that one for sure. That one was a pretty funny game to witness.
Yeah. Really, really good gameplay overall, and thanks, guys, for joining us to break that down, as well as, of course, thank you for letting us learn more about your journey at the WCS, letting us learn more about the games we saw, and we really hope to see more from you for Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel. Is there anything you guys want to say as a closing statement? Quantal, you go first.
I definitely will try to be back next year in WCS. Hopefully for the best of 3 that Josh made sure to say out loud.
I mean, Snipe Hunter hits 2 times out of 3, so Yeah. That's well.
Hopefully, we win the
4
best of
times out of
3.
6, but yeah.
That is kind of
we'll
also
see.
2 out of 3.
Yeah, it is. But yeah, Quantal, we believe in you. Let's go.
For sure, but maybe RJ is coming back and
RJ is
taking
also
instead.
aiming for it. I know you actually are both 2 of the most well-renowned in the community for grinding the Duelist Cups. So yeah, RJ, anything from your side?
Yeah, I'm really upset of this year's outcome, so I will try even harder to make it back to the Worlds. And although I'm looking forward for that best of 3, but I will stop it because I will make it to the
There
final
we go.
stage.
That's the spirit,
Yeah.
everyone. That is going to make up for an exciting year. Of course, watch out for those 2 players, Quantal and RJ. Definitely some figures in the community that you want to follow throughout the year, maybe already in the upcoming Duelist Cup in September. Thank you so much for joining, everyone. Good luck dueling in the next couple of months. And we are just with the 2 of us from now on. We have some very, very exciting stuff still to look at.
Yeah, 2 of us, but 3 packs to talk about. So
Ooh.
why don't we get right into that and show you guys a video.
What a surprise that was! I was already earlier on thinking we're going to see the trailer, but now we saw it finally. Of course, the pack we talked about earlier on, but there were some surprises in there as well, weren't they?
Yes, indeed. 2 secret packs now arriving as well. The first of which is Filled with Joy, a new world of destruction. The Monadium-themed secret pack. Should we take a look at some of the cards you can find inside?
Absolutely. We see Prime Heart, we see Visas Amritara, we also see the, of course, Monadium Realm Heart in there as well.
I think we saw Vicious Astrolabe summoned
in Teal
WCS. Yeah,
yes,
it was
we
really
did.
interesting.
We absolutely did. So that's very cool to see that this deck now also gets a secret pack. I'm really excited for that because I saw that deck definitely multiple times on ladder. I think a lot of people are enjoying this. It's a very unique combo deck that is getting out a lot of power, a lot of big monsters, and therefore people are always happy when they are able to summon a lot of big monsters in general.
And we spoke to Quantal, but something that Team Snipe Hunter's team captain will be very, very excited for is the Runic secret pack, Mystic Scripts of Adventure.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, Runic, of course, being a fan favorite, having a lot of, again, cyclical and like recurrent access to cards, very iconic for their use of the quick play spells. Less iconic for use of the battle phase. But yeah,
Really using it.
really cool. And of course, you see it there with some of the generator cards as well.
which do match up quite well. You can definitely combine that, especially with Sleipnir being a level 9, which works really well with the generator cards. So that is definitely something that immediately from this pack you can basically build Runic Generator. Very fun deck, very unique deck. Something that I enjoyed personally myself already playing. So happy to see those cards coming now, so others can try as well.
And we mentioned cards we saw at WCS, we mentioned cards that the WCS competitors would enjoy. Here's another best of selection pack, Aim for the Stars, consisting of quite a few other competitive cards, including the Bestial Disparter, which we maybe haven't seen too much of as of recent, but is still a force to be reckoned with. Mirror Jade, the Ice Blade Dragon, Transaction Rollback, so many good cards here.
Yeah, and I mean, we saw Dispater in the Super Heavy Samurai deck, which was so successful at the World Championship. And I think overall, pretty good timing for the release of this pack because it is right before Duelist Cup. Therefore, if you want to get involved in Duelist Cup, this pack definitely helps you to maybe finalize a second or third deck that you also want to bring into the grind there.
Yeah,
potentially.
Really, really exciting to see just the amount of content coming by way of our Master Duel players out there this month. We just had the WCS, which was super exciting, but we have that Duelist Cup coming up. We have the Challenger Cup finals coming up as well.
Oh, yeah.
So many good tournaments coming your way, and so many good cards to upgrade your decks with.
Absolutely. I will try myself. I will be in the playing field for the season final of the Challenger Cups this weekend.
The playing field indeed, but you've done so well in the hosting field, both of the Challenger Cups, but also of this show. While I do still miss Ed, and will always miss Ed, honestly, these are shoes that I didn't think could ever be filled. So thank you very much for joining me, Lampy.
Thank you for inviting me. Greetings go out to everyone watching at home and also to Ed, who's enjoying this show at the beach right now, hopefully. And yeah, very, very glad to close out now on this month in Master Duel for the month of September. This was it. Hope you enjoyed the show. See you very soon for more content here on the channel.